Namaste, my beautiful queens. I'm trying to uh, play with the camera because I now film with two cameras. One which can show you card straight. One which is showing you the table. I want to do a very serious reading. A very serious reading with the deck, which I use very seldom because of its depth and it different approach to classic. But I just feel like I want to do two readings on this deck, what he came into your life for, but I will do it another reading. Now I want to do the reading which would be called I'm going to move this a little bit further so it doesn't wobble. This reading I will call Your Entire Life till this moment of you watching this video had been preparing you for this. What is this? Literally like that. Your entire life until this moment, whenever this moment you're watching this video, it's timeless, had been preparing you for this. What is this? I'm going to get two cards for each number. You can choose number 1, you can choose number 2, you can choose number 3, and I will look into it. Asking the spirits of fire, earth, air, and water, the guides, the keepers, the guardians, to give us the answers to our questions with Osho's deck. With gratitude to my forehead, to my mouth, to my heart. To make it stronger, holding it with my right hand, getting cards with my left hand. Your entire life had been preparing you for this. Number 1. Your entire life until this moment now had been preparing you for this. Number 2. Your entire life, all the events, all the tests, all the trials, everything in your life had been preparing you for this. Set of card number 3. And we'll go straight to it. I will read each of the cards separately, and then we will combine. And we will start with first Ripeness and a Rebel. Just wow, just a big wow. Of course, you don't even have to be hearing anything from me, Ripeness and Rebel, but let me move it a little bit here. Look how really ripe the fruits are, and this is minor arcana and this is major arcana. Really ripe. They are ripe, and when the fruits are full of sweetness, juice, and are ripe, they fall from the trees. They fall without any force. They fall by themselves. So you can see it hanging out there on the branch one day, and then next day it falls. Not because it was taking, not because it was forced to fall, or it really was trying to make effort to jump from the branch, but because the tree, the universe, the world recognized that this fruit is ripe and allowed it to go without no sorrow, right? So when this card appears as an answer to any of your question, it tells you that you are ready. Oh, you are ripe. You are so ready to share your unbelievable, incredible, indescribable inner world, inner riches, inner wisdom. You are ready. So you don't need to really jump from that branch. You don't really need to force. You need to relax and just where you are and allow it to happen. Sharing yourself. However, you are planning or thinking to share yourself, make a, I don't know, blog, write a book, create a YouTube channel, start a magazine, a local group with like-minded people, no matter how, it simply is gonna happen. This sharing of yourself, the expressions of your wisdom, of your creativity, it can come so many ways. So many ways. You can do all kind of ways. Even if you open like art therapy classes or something like this, you are ready. You are ready. This is the first card. So probably you had been doing a lot of this inner healing. Probably you were doing meditations, yoga, visiting ashrams, but all of that had brought you that necessary light that shines in every cell of yours. It's time for you to open that divine door of your soul. With the light in your heart, death itself is transformed into a door, and you enter in the universal spirit. You now a part of universal spirit. You are one with the source. You are one with the ocean. And unless you know the oceanic experience, you have lived in vain. Now, my beautiful queen, now is the time. Now is the time to rebel. You just need to gather courage to enter your inner forest and rebel. There is no wrong time for that, because the next card is Major Arcana. I want to put this one down and bring it really closely so you see what it is. Look at that. Let me try to a little. I want you to really see clearly this figure. Really see him very clearly. This powerful figure. Absolutely master of, you see, like you were ripening to do what? To become the master of his own destiny. He's not looking for and waiting for any mercy from anyone. And of course you see lots of symbols of the sun. Of course you see right here is a phoenix. Of course this would be so much my card, as you many of you know that my nickname is a firebird. And of course the phoenix is one of the symbols of the sun, and the torch he's holding. Of course I always tell you, very often tell you, just hold the torch of light in your hand and just lead others. You know, this man, he definitely worked hard to get that torch. So doesn't matter this man upbringing, he is poor or he is rich, that is an emperor, because he had broken through the chains, and you can clearly see broken chains right now. It's not just for himself, but he will teach the others, because chains, it's usually society rules and conditionings and opinions, and he has formed himself by embracing all the colors of the rainbow, which of course you can see on this card. And he don't you think he's kind of broke through the dark, and through the, like, broke, like he was a breakthrough, and he became strong, and he became so powerful. He's rebellious, but he's rebellious not because he's fighting against anyone, against anything, but because he has discovered his own truth, his own true nature, and he's determined to live according to what he deep inside believes. And the eagle you can see here, of course, too. But I would call it firebird. I would call it phoenix, even though I believe that they were trying to portray an eagle here, but I see a phoenix, a firebird, and it's a messenger between eternal and immortal, eternal and temporarily. You see, the problem is that people are scared, and you know that. I believe that you know it firsthand, that people are afraid, people are scared of those who know themselves. I have written it in my book. I just want you to remember so very many times that people are afraid of those who know themselves, because they cannot be ruled, they cannot be conditioned, they cannot be manipulated. They have that certain power, they have that certain aura, that magnetism, that strength, that charisma, and that can take out alive young people from the traditional imprisonment, and imprisonment of society, imprisonment of religion cage, imprisonment of listening to what elderly people say, even if they say nonsense. So this enlightened man cannot be enslaved, and it means that you are cannot be. And you have been prepared for your whole life for this moment, not only for you living this way, but for you teaching others how to live this way. You need to help people remember. Every genius who has known something of the inner is bound to be a little difficult for the society, for acceptance. He's too bright, he's too incredible, and this is who you are. You are the force of the nature. And most of people don't want to be disturbed by the truth, disturbed by awakening. Awakening and transformation is not easy for most people, even though they may be in misery, but still I rather stay in my familiar misery that I'm going to rebel against the misery. People are used to misery, and when you try to shake them from their misery, they can object, they can fight, but your goal is to try. And then they make their own choices. This man is enlightened, and you are enlightened, and you have been coming to this for your whole life. And you might be a stranger to the familiar world, people who know you, but you don't belong to anyone. Freedom is your right, and you are now shining to the fullest of your own truth. And this is the most important. This is what your whole life had been preparing you for. So this is about these two cards. Now we are going to go to the next. What your whole life had been preparing to. Okay. Traveling and conditioning. We are having one minor arcana. And one major arcana, we will start with the minor. I wonder if you can see, there is this tiny figure right there on the minor arcana. There is that very, very tiny figure, and there is this huge, huge path, you see? And there is this very, very tiny figure which is moving through this path, and landscape, as you can see, looks pretty beautiful here. But you can imagine that this tiny figure, probably, as we can sense and understand from this card, this little figure is not really bothered about the final goal of this traveling. This figure knows and understands what brilliantly had described Paulo Coelho in his book Alchemist, I told you about before, that the journey is a goal. The pilgrimage itself is a sacred place, because each step this little figure makes, each step on that path is important, and this you might not always understand. Very often you don't understand it, and you fall into despair, and you fall into sadness. You might feel like, it's all useless, it's all makes no sense, but the message is very, very clear here, that each step you had been doing on this path, each step you are still doing on the path is very important in itself. Especially when this card shows up in a reading, it tells you that it's time of movement and change. Even if you take very, very little steps, it may be a physical step, a physical movement from one point to another, or inner movement from one way of being to another. But think about it, whatever the case is, that this card tells you that you will sooner or later will get there. You see, the path is beautiful. A path is rather clear, right? That path you need to keep on walking on. And it's you need to feel fully that sense of adventure and the sense of growing and sense of importance of each of your steps. Don't plan. There is expression. Be in a flow. Go with the flow. This card tells you kind of accept it, embrace it, but also don't fight. Don't fight the new. Just accept it and embrace it. Sometimes this card talks about a need to move to even another place or even to another country. So if this is the case, if the circumstances were such in your life that you have been forced to be moving to another country, another place, another culture, go ahead and do it, accept it, because it can mean huge thing, because we are looking at the question your entire life have been preparing you for this. And but even that another country you are moving, that's not going to be your final destination. You will keep on going forward. Again, the book Alchemist, if you haven't read it, please find it and read it, because the pilgrimage is the journey in itself, and this journey in itself is life. This is what life is about, a journey itself. It's not about reaching some point, reaching some goal, but just being in this pilgrimage, which is called life, moving. Try to move joyfully if possible, without bothering about destination or goals or where you're gonna get there, what you're gonna find there. And That's not, no one is asking you that. If you really reach the destination of life, then what? Then this life is over. So just go, just keep on going, keep on going uh, on this path. You had nothing to lose. You just need to understand that the path, the goal of this path is the path itself. And if we take, of course, conditioning, if we take that second card and we connect them together, you will see a very interesting picture. I think I have mentioned you there. It's a Disney cartoon about Lambert. His name was Lambert. Lambert was a lion who was brought up by the sheep. Or there is another version of the story about the eagle, which was brought up by chickens, and he considered himself to be a chicken. So, what does it mean? It means unless you drop your personality, you will not be able to find your individuality. Individuality is given by existence. Personality is what society or your family together with society imposed on you. Personality is social convenience. It's what makes you convenient for society. Again, just like with the rebel card, society cannot tolerate, cannot really handle bright individuality, because individuality will not follow the rules like a sheep. The unique individuality has the quality of a lion, and the lion is going to be moving along. The sheep is representing the crowd. And the sheep hopes that if she stays in the crowd, she will be safe and she will be cozy. Being in the crowd, one can feel some type of protection, like security. If someone attacks, there is every possibility in a crowd to save yourself. But alone, only a lion can be. A lion moves alone. And every one of you who chose this card is born a lion, especially if you're a Leo. But the society is going to condition you, keep on trying to program you as a sheep. You will not take it unless you're willing. Let's face it, society wants slaves, not people who are absolutely dedicated to freedom. And you are showing the path. Combine these two cards, and you will have this little figure which is shown up close. And this is your message and goal from now on to yourself and to the others. I am sure you understood the meaning, because the meaning is for all of you, for each one of you who chose these cards. You will hear what you need to hear. And the last two cards, Flowering and Sorrow. Unbelievable deck, and I'm gonna do another reading for why he awakened you and why he came. So let's start with Sorrow. The thing is that there is the legend which goes with the card Sorrow. I will try to be fast because we're running out of time, but time of big sorrow, of great sorrow, have incredible potential to be the time of great transformation, and you probably have been in this deep sorrow for quite a bit of time, but this is your transformation. So for transformation to happen, you must go very, 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 very deep to the very roots of your pain and allow yourself to experience it as it is without blaming or self-pity. So this card, his name was Ananda, and he was a relative of Buddha. I think he was one of his disciples, but he was a relative of his, like some faraway brother or something like this. So Ananda had been always near Buddha. I think it had been happening for over 40 years. And then when Buddha died, he left his physical body. And Ananda was very, very upset, very, very upset. And he just was so sad, and he kept on crying, and he had been so full of sorrow. And until one day he went into a very, very deep, deep, deep meditation, so he could feel his pain and sorrow on the maximum level. And when the morning came, he said that he was enlightened. So time of great sorrow, it's a time of you to become enlightened, because the pain of Ananda is not something which made him sad. It's the problem is that he was missing Buddha. He spent with him 40 years of his life. But this pain is just to make you more alert. Any pain which you had experienced made you more alert, because people become alert, unfortunately, in our physical world only when the arrow goes very deep, like into our very, very heart, and it wounds us tremendously. And unfortunately, that's the only way we can become alert, because when life is easy, when we're comfortable, when we're happy, then we don't really care much about being alert, you know. And when something really painful happens, someone dies, and there is pain brought to us by love, then we have the sleepless nights, we feel lonely, we miss what we wish had been, could have been, should have been, we cry of pain, of loneliness, so on and so on. That arrow is hurting our hearts so badly, but that pain is to become that what made us alert. And when we become awakened, when we become transformed, when we become alert, then that pain disappears, only wisdom stays. And the second card is flowering. The nickname of this card is the Princess of Rainbow, or a Queen of Rainbow. You see, she is holding a rainbow. She's on a flower of lotus. So after this, of course, now you are preparing for this, and this, my beautiful queens, is incredibly rich life. It's a life of abundance, of totally having it to the fullest. It's overflowing. Your life is gonna be so rich and so inspiration to the others. Your blissfulness, your benediction, your ecstasy should not be contained within you like a seed. It's time for you to open like this beautiful flower she is sitting on. You need to spread your colors, spread your wings, spread your fragrance, spread to everyone and everything. If we could say one word of this card, that's compassion. You are love itself, love in its purest. You are not just enlightened, you have gone such a long way. Ananda was near Buddha for 40 years, but you've gone through so long. Your enlightenment didn't come easy for you, but you are now enlightened, sorry. So share that enlightenment with anyone and everyone your light can touch, and you can imagine how many people can a rainbow touch. I am above and beyond grateful for such unbelievable reading to the guides and keepers. I think that answers were so very clear. The cards were so very clear. The messages were very clear. I don't think any of you have now confusion of what it is all about. What was this all about? I believe you now know what to do. I'm grateful to you for listening. Namaste.